Good morning! Good morning! Magandang umaga! What a beautiful morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, United States of this America. Welcome to another edition of Ano Na Bev, Best Express Views on PHLV Radio and soon on I Want TFC. So, subscribe na! So viewers and listeners from all over the world, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and love, and follow my Twitter account at Bev Llorente. On to our Tuesday topic. Today, we're going to unravel a mystery behind the origin of some of the mental traumas we experience and its impact on our mental health. Studies have shown that some of the mental trauma we experience today have been passed down through generations via genetics. What does this mean, you might ask? It means that the type of mental trauma your parents, and so forth have experienced has been passed down to you. So scientists have observed that this can go back as far as 14 generations for 30 to 70% of the population. What and how your grandparents felt and experienced in their lifetime affects the DNA that you have. So this is part of a study called Epigenetics. It is a fascinating and interesting topic. So with us today in the studio to discuss and expound on the epigenetics behind generational trauma, the nature, the nurture, and how generational trauma impacts your mental health is Dr. Rhigel Tan. Dr. Tan is the CEO of iCare Psychiatry here in Las Vegas. He is an assistant professor at the UNLV College of Nursing, a doctor of nurse practitioner, a loving son of Cebu, an advocate of humanity in all relations to mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend for a long time, Dr. Rhigel Tan. Welcome to the Ano Na Bev, Doc J.
Good morning, Bev. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Las Vegas to the rest of the world.
Ayan, the world meets Dr. Tan. So, what is epigenetics and how can someone's experiences affect the expression of our genes?
Well, epigenetics is a very new but very precise field of genetic studies. It's because like this, genetics is a well-known part of science already, wherein an individual get their inherited characteristic from their parents and it's passed down from parents to offspring. That's genetics. But what we didn't know until it's been in 1940s and built up until for the past 10 years is that epigenetics is that field of genetic study that actually has the chance to mark the genes that you already have and how it behaves. So epigenetics is that science where it actually matters because it allows your inherited traits into action. That's epigenetics.
Expression, rather.
It's the expression. It actually allows the gene that is already predetermined in generations that come to behave a certain way. So it's the behavior and the expression of the gene that actually matters because that expression of the genes that we already know actually is the background, is affected by the environment around you. So the environment means probably, Vev, that it could be the food you eat, the lifestyle you adopted, like smoking, alcohol, partying at night, and the experience you undergo as part of the environment, the trauma that one generation experience, that effect, that behavior, that sadness that one experienced during the impact of trauma is imprinted into that layer of the gene called epigenetic study, and it actually allows your genes to behave in certain way.
Wow. So what about generational trauma? What does that refer to and what does it entail? And how are these experiences passed down?
So that's very important. When we look at and understand genetics in that way, generational trauma, that means the trauma that your great or great-grandfather, grandmother, grandparents experience, the expression they have is handed down to the generation. So they say, for generations you gather inheritance such as wealth. Well, you also gather the pains and the stress and the trauma that your forefathers before experienced into your behavior now and even your next generation.
And that's a study, correct?
And that's a study. Let me put it this way to be a little bit more scientific, but more understandable, Bev.
Yes.
We human, if we experience some trauma, there's a surge of chemical in the body.
Correct.
We call it because of hormones during fight or flight.
Yeah.
And one example of that is, for example, your certain hormones that increases, and then that means you are in a stress level. That reaction of your forefathers before during that trauma imprints into your genetic code, so that the next generation behaves the same way as when they were having the trauma on real life years or generation before that.
Interesting. And how can such experiences from your Lola and Lolo, just a question, how can it be passed down to you, and how can we address to promote a better mental health?
Exactly, because if your Lolo and Lola or generations have passed undergo into certain types of trauma, it imprints on how your genes behave. So it makes you now, or the next generation after you, your son, your daughter later on, more at risk for anxiety, depression, and even PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, that is very, very significant, especially among Filipinos, because we have certain stigma in mental health, right?
Taboo subject.
It's a taboo
Hindi
subject, and we
napag-uusapan.
don't talk about it.
No.
But now we understand that mental health we label as loco or you're crazy is actually very scientifically predetermined in your genes because of the experiences of your Lolo and Lola long time ago.
And parents as well.
And parents, yeah, Lolo, Lola, parents, then to your next generation, to the third generation, even they said, and to the 14th generation might even show. That's the transgenerational epigenetics concept.
Oh,
You know?
wow.
So it makes you very high at risk. So if you take care of now and how you feel because of your predisposition years ago, then hopefully you limit the next generation to feel an intense trauma already.
Wow, that is really interesting. Let's pause for a break, and when we return on Bev, Best Express Views, more on epigenetics with Dr. Tan, so stay tuned.
I'm a professional singer. That's how I support myself and my family. I'm a careful driver. The other car hit me. I ended up picking Richard Harris. Richard Harris is already an institution in Nevada. Dahil kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
I slipped. I hurt my tailbone. They sent me the bill. Si Richard Harris, siya lang ang tumanggap ng kaso ko. Tutulungan ka niya. Kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
The Richard Harris Law Firm, just in case.
Mobile Home Health, providing care in the comfort of your own home.
Serving Southern Nevada is our top priority.
And it's our greatest joy to help others stay safe and enjoy a better quality of life at home.
Sabi ng patients ko, they don't need a colonoscopy because they don't feel anything. But colon cancer is a silent killer. It affects both men and women, mayaman man o mahirap. Have your colon checked.
Welcome back to Bev, Best Express Views. So, Dr. Tan, many things get passed down through families. Alahas, diba? These heirlooms are, the heirlooms. So, how can genetic conditions be parang heirloom na rin, diba? And physical characteristics. So, like in some cases, trauma can be inherited too.
Yeah, as what we've said and what you mentioned, heirlooms are inherited. Also,
Alahas.
emotion and trauma are also inherited because of the concept of epigenetics. Let me give you a good example here as an analogy, Bev.
Yes.
Way before, when I first came to the U.S., I always wonder why The birds here are so friendly. Hindi takot ng tao eh. One time even, I was eating a French fry at San Diego. A bird just come and pull out my French fries from my fingers. And I said, why are they so friendly with people? While in the Philippines, I mean, bata pa, sisiyo pa, just from the eggs. Kinakain kasi natin balot pa eh. Takot na sa tao. They're already afraid of people. Why? Well, that behavior is a good example of how epigenetics play and the trauma play. Well, in the Philippines, we hunt, we play around, we capture them.
Yeah.
So genetically, it's a trauma to that biologic being, which is the bird, and that's why how they behave is bequeathed to the generation and generation that it comes. Kaya takot na sila ng tao. While here in the U.S., the birds are protected. So they feel at ease. So they didn't experience the trauma that their counterparts in the Philippines have. So that's why they're more friendly.
Oh.
So that's basically how it inherited.
O parang America, stateside yung mga birds.
Siguro, di ba?
Stateside kasi. Sa Pilipinas. But
in the society, how it makes matter to us, right? Especially with the newer trend now about racism, especially us in Asia and the Asian hate crime. Those are traumatic events of our generation. So we have to take care of ourselves now in order to prevent that reaction in the future. Who knows?
Okay. So as you said, researchers have a lot to discover regarding its impact and how it presents and people who experience it. Let's expound on that.
Well, it's a really good science to understand that, because understanding that background is to understand the present now. And then the question is, because it's given from generation to generation, then we could do something now, and what we can do now in order to take care of the future. So that's why I even said in my post, take care of yesterday is to take care of today, to care for tomorrow.
Ayan. O, diba? Parang slogan. So, kapag yung nanay mo, may trauma ng Miss Universe, pero yung anak mo, may magkakaroon din ng trauma ng Miss Universe.
The reaction then is bequeathed down from generation to generation.
Yeah. Yung mga So, what can we do today to stop and minimize the effects of the trauma to previous generation to influence the next generation?
Well, I think the number one step you have is to acknowledge how you feel today. If today you felt like you're a little bit sad, you easily get anxious, you're irritable, well, think about that feeling can be related to what you experience, of course, day to day, but the depth of that could have a deeper sense of generational behavior that you inherited. So once you acknowledge that, seek help. Don't be ashamed to seek help. Take care of yourself today. Enjoy your life today. Have YOLO, you only live once. Enjoy so that you'll have a nice experience that you could bequeath to the generation after you. So take charge, acknowledge, seek help.
Ayan. And it's okay.
And it's okay. In fact, I'm very, very into the concept, Bev, that to take care of your emotional needs and your mental health needs is to make mental health a household discussion. Normalize it. It's part of your day-to-day. Don't cover it. Talk about it. Be open about it. And make it a household discussion, because you're a product of generations that passed.
And it's okay to have emotions.
And it's okay to have emotion. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be irritable.
But don't hurt anyone.
But the point when you seek help is when it affects those emotions, whatever emotion you have. If it affects your day-to-day activity, your work, and your relationship, that's the point you should start seeking help.
Okay. This is so interesting and super insightful, especially to our viewers and listeners and onlookers out there. So how is epigenetics an important dialogue to Filipinos or Filipino culture?
For me, Bev, it's a new, modern, or postmodernist view. Why? Because over these years, Filipinos always view mental health as a taboo. With advent of epigenetics, the science and what it means, we should adapt it. That is part of our being, and that because it's part of being, it's normal, and the extent of the linear different emotion that you experience is to be expected. But what you can do is to seek help when it happens.
Yeah.
So talk about it. Spread it out. Tell them that it's not the malady of God that you felt depressed. It is human existence.
Ayan. And also, there's a question from our viewer, and she's asking if what is the best possible way to support someone who is depressed. Any practical advice?
Yeah. So for somebody who's depressed, allow them, give them support. Number one, the family as friends, give them support, give them the ear, listen to them. And then once you notice that how they feel affects the day-to-day activity, their work and their relationship, let them acknowledge, guide them that there is help. And there is help. Seek help.
So, Dr. Tan, if someone wants to reach you, how do they contact you?
Well, they could always, with iCare Psychiatry at www.icarepsychiatry.com. That's my website and my clinic.
Ayan.
And they could also, for people who knows me, follow me in my Facebook and social media accounts.
Ayan, Dr. Rhigel Tan, the son of Cebu, and my go-to for any mental health queries and any questions, talagang laging nandyan, di ba? What's the study? Talk about the study. Just synopsis of the study that you're doing with epigenetics.
Well, right now we're actually collaborating with community partners from UNLV and
Ayan.
also psychologists,
Okay.
Dr. Clark, Dr. Rafika, and also community resources around Angelica. We all collaborate because we're trying to also express it out and trying to help our community, especially the Filipino community. So watch for that. We have a blog coming up and some also programs that we will be starting on in Las Vegas, and hopefully it makes an impact to the rest of the world.
Ayan, thank you very much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's important to recognize that addressing epigenetic trauma, mental illness has thus lots of aura of mystery and its stigma, but treatment is available. It could be a long-term process, but what is important is the support from loved ones, ongoing therapy, and work with a trained professional to determine the best course of treatment for your specific needs. Daghang salamat, Dr. Tan. Your depth insights on this subject sheds a light to many. Maraming salamat. Next Tuesday ulit sa Ano na Bev, Best Express Views on PHLV Radio, and soon I Want TFC. Subscribe na.
I'm a professional singer. That's how I support myself and my family. I'm a careful driver. The other car hit me. I ended up picking Richard Harris. Richard Harris is already an institution in Nevada. Dahil kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
I slipped. I hurt my tailbone. They sent me the bill. Si Richard Harris, siya lang ang tumanggap ng kaso ko. Tutulungan ka niya. Kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
The Richard Harris Law Firm, just in case.
Mobile home health, providing care in the comfort of your own home.
Serving Southern Nevada is our top priority.
And it's our greatest joy to help others stay safe and enjoy a better quality of life at home.
Sabi ng patients ko, they don't need a colonoscopy because they don't feel anything. But colon cancer is a silent killer. It affects both men and women, mayaman man o mahirap. Have your colon checked.